It is our alarming misfortune that so primitive a science has armed itself with the most modern and terrible weapons, and that in turning them against the insects, it has also turned them against the earth. Jean, I'm finished. Could you please take this?
Greetings, employees of Monsanto Chemical Company. As president of this company, I have brought you here today to address a very crucial matter. 3 years ago, in the summer of 1962, the ecology writer Rachel Carson published a series of 3 articles in the New Yorker magazine that told about an imaginary town that was living in harmony with its surroundings, until suddenly, as she dramatically claimed, all the wildlife and people started to die. Her writing goes on to claim that the use or misuse of chemical pesticides results in cancer, illnesses, and even death among both wildlife and humans. The articles were transformed into a book called Silent Spring in October of 1962. While we are saddened by Ms. Carson's death last year, we at Monsanto are frustrated that her theories have continued to change both the public and the government's opinions about pesticides. Ms. Carson was specifically concerned about the chemical dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, or as we know it, DDT, one of our main products. Those of us in the chemical industry, including Dow Chemical, Montrose, and Stouffer, who is the country's largest producer of DDT, all agree that we share the same views about the concerns raised by Ms. Carson, but feel that we have been misrepresented to the public. Over the past 2.5 years, the National Agricultural Chemical Association has had scientists hard at work analyzing Silent Spring line by line. As an industry, we do not argue with many of Ms. Carson's findings. However, we feel that pesticides are essential to maintain and improve our food supply and our public health. But Monsanto also feels that pesticides must be thoroughly pre-tested for safety before use, and carefully and wisely used. Our biggest concern is that Ms. Carson has overlooked the enormous benefits of proper pesticide use in food production and disease control. The world has a serious food shortage. By spraying farms and killing pests, we are able to increase food supply for America and the world. To speak on this matter is Dr. Georg Borgstrom from Michigan State University's Department of Food Science. Ladies and gentlemen, if all the food in the world was distributed equally and each human received identical quantities, we would all be malnourished. If the entire world were fed on just the United States level, all available food would be enough to feed less than half of the human race. Monsanto feels so strongly about the benefits of proper pesticide use that in October of 1962, we published a pamphlet called The Desolate Year, which answered Ms. Carson's Silent Spring. In The Desolate Year, we told about the world without pesticides, how the population was dying of illnesses and disease and starvation. The Desolate Year explained the other side of the argument that Ms. Carson never presented in Silent Spring. My fellow Americans, after reading Silent Spring, I immediately appointed a scientific advisory committee. They were in charge of testing DDT and other chemicals to prove whether or not Ms. Carson was right or if she was simply being biased and scaring the public through a book. The scientific advisory committee presented their results to me on May 15th of 1963. Their results were that by blanketing farmland with pesticides, we were endangering wildlife. However, more research needed to be done in order to determine whether or not the human race could actually be dangerously affected by chemicals. A field of scientists and politicians are strongly opposed to Silent Spring. Leading the fight is Robert White Stevens, a prominent biochemist. Crass commercialism or idealistic flag waving. We are aghast. It seems evident that American people cannot be fed adequately unless crops and livestock are protected from insects and other pests. These are actual quotes from real scientists like myself. The last one is from the Pesticide Subcommittee Committee of the National Academy of Sciences. Nobody disagrees with Robert White Stevens. I am a leading biochemist for America, and I am helping America. I know what I am saying. The chemical companies are taken aback by this little old lady bird watcher. Some companies are plotting counterattacks, and others are preparing to defend their products. The chemical industry is somehow being blamed for the claims that Miss Carson makes in Silent Spring. If man were to follow the teachings of Miss Carson, we would return to the Dark Ages, and the insects and disease and vermin would once again inherit the earth. America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. So in the land of the free, we should all be free of poisons. And in the home of the brave, we should be fearless about fighting pesticides and changing our ways. This is not the America we know. America should not be where people are blanketing farmland in pesticides to help feed them. I dropped 3 eggs last week, and they were all so thin that they cracked as soon as they hit the nest. Silent Spring explains how the pesticides get into the food chain. And when I eat mice that have been eating insects that were sprayed, that makes my eggs thin. And when they are laid, they break, which decreases the eagle population significantly and quickly. People are slowly making decisions about how they really want their world to be, because the U.S. Department of Agriculture received several letters of horror and amazement that they supported the use of potentially deadly pesticides. University professor Leo Belander said that commercial spray operators did not have to license the sprayers they hired, so they sprayed their fields with up to double the proper dose of pesticides and thought the more the better. That's where the trouble starts. I am the eagle. I'm the symbol of America's freedom, and my population is decreasing because of our actions. I died. 2 years after my book was published, my theories continued to help pass laws, ban DDT, and raise environmental awareness throughout time. My book, Silent Spring, aroused the public, industry, and government to take action. If I were to name this revolution, I would call it the anti-pesticide revolution. Long-term reforms followed, such as laws like the Clean Air Act and the banning of DDT in 1972. While I wasn't around to see this, I'm sure I would have been satisfied. The anti-pesticide revolution was a significant step in history because it made people aware of the environment and changed how we think today about the use of pesticides. The control of nature is a phrase conceived in arrogance, born of the Neanderthal age of biology and philosophy, when it was supposed that nature exists for the convenience of man. The concepts and practices of applied entomology, for the most part, date from that Stone Age of science. It is our alarming misfortune that so primitive a science has armed itself with the most modern and terrible weapons, and that, in turning them against the insects, it has also turned them against the earth.